information coming out about this whole NBA scandal and situation. The WNBA is at the front line of it all too, because they is connected to this league. Now, I am here to tell you, the FBI is letting it be known they want phone records, schedules, the whole shebang. Now, we know just a couple of days ago, it was reported that none other than Adam Silver had to meet with the committee to discuss this whole situation involving.
Okay, this is wild. You won't believe this. The FBI has just subpoenaed the WNBA and the NBA. We're talking about federal agents getting deeply involved in professional basketball, with commissioners being summoned to answer some serious questions. This isn't just a rumor. We're talking about full-blown federal investigations, subpoenas for phone records, and allegations so massive they could absolutely shake both leagues to their core. This isn't some quick social media speculation either. Federal authorities are actively requesting documents, schedules, and a ton of evidence from multiple teams. The sports world just got very, very serious. Very fast. But before we even get into the insane details, drop a comment below. Do you think gambling scandals in professional sports are way more common than we realize, or is this just the absolute tip of the iceberg?
Federal indictments were announced involving current player Terry Rozier and current head coach Chauncey Billups. What was your initial reaction, and what have the last 36 hours been like for you?
My initial reaction was I was deeply disturbed. There's nothing more important to the league and its fans than the integrity of the competition. And so I had a pit in my stomach. It was very upsetting.
And Terry Rozier was allowed to keep playing after an NBA investigation ruled that there was no NBA rules violated. What do you make of that decision now amid the FBI's allegations against him?
So what happened was, because bets were placed through legalized legal betting companies, they picked up aberrational behavior around a particular game in March of 23.
So, get this. The FBI is now officially, I repeat, officially, involved in investigating the NBA, and by extension, the WNBA. This isn't some internal league issue anymore, where a few fines and quiet suspensions happen behind closed doors. No, we're talking about federal authorities demanding phone records, schedules, documents, and even physical property from multiple teams. The Department of Justice is involved, congressional committees are asking questions, and this is as serious as anything can possibly get in professional sports. Let me break this down. According to multiple reports, including breaking news from The Athletic, the NBA has been requesting records and property from numerous teams, with the Los Angeles Lakers specifically being called out. Why the Lakers? Well, we'll get to that in a second. But what's crucial to understand is that this isn't just about one team, multiple franchises are under the microscope. The Lakers are just the biggest name that's been leaked so far. What's even crazier is that 2 Lakers staff members have already cooperated with investigators, handing over their mobile phones voluntarily. We're talking about Mike Manches, who works with the team, and Randy Mims, an executive administrator. They gave up their phones, which tells you they either have absolutely nothing to hide, or their lawyers told them that full cooperation is their best bet. Either way, federal investigators now have access to all their communications, messages, and calls on those devices. Now you're probably wondering, what exactly are they investigating here? The core issue is sports gambling, and whether players, coaches, or staff members were involved in sharing secret, inside information to help bettors win money. This goes way beyond just placing bets, which would be bad enough. We're talking about potential conspiracy to defraud, using personal and privileged information for financial gain, and possibly even game manipulation. These aren't just league violations, these are actual federal crimes. And get this, the NBA initially handled some of this internally, saying they couldn't find anything despite aboriginal behavior and cooperating with Terry Rozier in an interview, even clearing him back then. But here's the kicker. The federal government has actual subpoena power, and they can put people in jail, something a league's legal office simply can't do. So the NBA has been working with them for over 2 years. And what we just heard yesterday was a massive indictment. Terry Rozier, a guard for the Miami Heat, was arrested and charged, and Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, was also implicated. These aren't some fringe players or low-level assistants. These are established big names in the NBA. When active coaches and players are getting charged by federal authorities, you know this investigation goes deep. But wait, it gets even better. Congressional committees have started grilling the NBA about why the league failed to relay evidence that players and coaches were involved in this scheme. That means the NBA either knew something was going on, or at least had some information, and didn't properly report it to the authorities. That's a huge problem, talking about potential obstruction, or at the very least, a PR nightmare that makes the league look either complicit or totally incompetent. The Lakers keep popping up because of connections to LeBron James. One of the people charged is Damon Jones, a former NBA player and a close friend of LeBron who's coached alongside him. Now, nobody's directly accusing LeBron of anything illegal, but federal investigators are demanding documents from at least 10 Lakers employees because of these very connections. When you're friends with someone under federal investigation, authorities want to know what you knew, and when you knew it. Some people online are even speculating that this is why LeBron hasn't been playing much recently. Maybe he's dealing with some legal stuff behind the scenes, or his lawyers are advising him to lay low, or maybe it's just normal injury management, and this is all one big coincidence. But when federal gambling investigations are swirling around your organization and people you know are getting charged, the speculation just writes itself. Remember, the NBA has no subpoena powers. You don't have to talk to their investigators, but when the federal government asks you a question, you have to answer. You can try to invoke the Fifth Amendment, sure, but they have the power to compel you to testify, and grand juries are looking at evidence in a way the leagues simply can't. So for Adam Silver, this is way beyond just being asked if he was stupid. For clearing Terry Rozier, the real question is how they work better with the FBI and the gambling companies, their partners, to give fans comfort that the integrity of the game hasn't dropped even an iota. Now let's talk about the WNBA angle, because this absolutely affects them too. The WNBA operates directly under the NBA's umbrella, meaning they're connected financially, administratively, and organizationally. If the FBI is investigating gambling and insider information in the NBA, you can bet your bottom dollar they're going to look at the WNBA next. The logical step is to wrap up the bigger league first, and then immediately springboard into examining the W. What's even more insane is the WNBA has had its own share of controversies this season. Questionable officiating, suspicious calls that shifted game outcomes, and accusations of bias and favoritism. Nothing's been proven, but fans have been incredibly vocal about things just not looking right. If federal investigators start digging into whether referees or team personnel were sharing information with gamblers, the WNBA could face absolutely crushing scrutiny. The league is smaller, which ironically might make illegal activity even easier to coordinate and harder to detect. The crazy part about this investigation is the personal information aspect. Federal charges specifically mention people using inside information to help bettors win money. What kind of information? Think unreleased injury reports, secret game plans and strategies, knowing which players are dealing with personal issues that might affect their performance, or if a coach is planning to rest starter. All of this information is incredibly valuable to gamblers, and if people inside these organizations were sharing it for profit, that's a federal crime. Referees are another angle that makes this investigation incredibly concerning. If refs were involved in sharing info, or even were manipulating games to benefit certain betting outcomes, that would completely destroy the integrity of the entire sport. We've seen it before, like with Jim Donaghy in the NBA, a referee who bet on games he officiated and actually made calls to affect point spread, landing him in federal prison. If something similar is happening now, it would be catastrophic. The NBA, clearly trying to get ahead of this, has been contacting teams through their legal departments, requesting documents before the FBI formally demands them. That's a smart legal strategy. Show cooperation, demonstrate transparency, try to control the narrative. But it also strongly suggests the league knows this is bad, and they're scrambling like crazy to limit the damage. You don't lawyer up and start demanding internal documents from 10 different employees on one team, unless something seriously disturbing is happening. The timing of all this is also incredibly suspicious. The Dallas Wings just fired their head coach and general manager out of nowhere, and other teams have made sudden personnel changes that seemed bizarre at the time. Were those moves linked to this investigation? Were organizations cutting ties with people they suspected might be involved in illegal gambling activities? We don't know yet, but the timing definitely raises some huge questions. What's really wild is that this story just broke within the last few hours, and it's already making headlines everywhere. The New York Post, major sports networks, social media is absolutely exploding with speculation. This isn't going to be some quiet scandal that fades away. This is going to absolutely dominate sports news for weeks, possibly months, because federal investigations move slowly and thoroughly. Every phone record, every email, every text message will be scrutinized. Everyone connected to anyone under suspicion will be questioned. For the WNBA specifically, this comes at an absolutely terrible time. The league is already dealing with stalled CBA negotiations. Players are uncertain if there will even be a 2026 season. And while players and viewership were up significantly this past year, financial stability is still a major concern. Now you add a federal gambling investigation on top of all that? It's a complete nightmare scenario for a league that was finally gaining some incredible positive momentum. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is going to have to answer some very, very difficult questions. If the FBI determines that gambling corruption existed in the WNBA, even on a small scale, the damage to the league's credibility would be severe. Fans need to believe that games are legitimate, that outcomes aren't predetermined or manipulated, that the competition is real. If that trust gets broken, rebuilding it takes years. The congressional scrutiny is particularly concerning. When elected officials start holding hearings about sports leagues failing to report criminal activity, things have gone way beyond just a legal problem. It becomes a political issue. It becomes about accountability and transparency. The NBA has billions of dollars in revenue and massive cultural influence, and Congress wants to know why a league that powerful wasn't doing more to prevent or report illegal gambling operations. Some people are defending the league, saying they can't possibly monitor every employee's personal communications or prevent every bad actor. And that's true to an extent. But when federal prosecutors are charging current players and coaches, when congressional committees are demanding answers, when the FBI is subpoenaing records from multiple teams, it suggests a systemic problem, not just a few isolated incidents. The phrase comprehensive federal investigation keeps appearing in reports, and that should concern everyone involved with professional basketball. Comprehensive means they're looking at everything, every team, every department, every person who might have had access to valuable information. It means this isn't targeted at one individual or one organization. It means investigators believe the problem is widespread. For players and coaches who had absolutely nothing to do with any illegal gambling, this is incredibly frustrating. Their reputations are now being questioned through mere association. Every decision they made on the court is being second-guessed by fans, wondering if games were fixed. Even if they're completely innocent, the massive cloud of suspicion hangs over everyone until the investigation finally concludes, and findings are released. The WNBA players specifically are probably watching this unfold with growing concern. They're already fighting for better working conditions and more respect for their league, and now they have to worry about whether federal gambling investigations will further damage the WNBA's reputation and financial stability. It's absolutely not fair to them. But that's the brutal reality of being part of an organization under federal scrutiny. Social media reactions have been predictably intense. Some people are making jokes, some are wildly conspiracy theorizing about which players or coaches knew what, and others are genuinely concerned about the future of professional basketball. The comment sections are full of speculation about LeBron, about whether certain games were fixed, about which other teams will be implicated next. It's chaos out there, and it's only going to get worse as more information comes out. One interesting comment that surfaced in discussions about this was from Sophie Cunningham. Though it wasn't directly about the gambling investigation, she talked about how people see players competing intensely on the court and automatically assume that's what they're like off the court, saying fans need to get to know the players as people, not just as athletes. It's a fair point, and it's particularly relevant now. Just because someone is connected to an investigation doesn't mean they're guilty. Just because federal authorities are asking questions doesn't mean everyone involved did something wrong. But the problem with federal investigations is they don't care about nuance or public perception. They care about evidence and prosecuting crimes. If people broke laws, they're going to be charged, regardless of how likable they are or how much fans support them. That's how the justice system works, and professional athletes are not exempt from it. The next few weeks are going to be absolutely crucial. The NBA and WNBA commissioners will likely have to make public statements addressing the investigation, and more names will probably be leaked as documents get subpoenaed and phone records get reviewed. Teams will continue to lawyer up and cooperate with authorities, because honestly they have no choice. And fans will continue to speculate and debate about what all of this means for the future of professional basketball. So that's where things stand right now with the FBI investigation into professional basketball gambling. Federal authorities are serious. Multiple teams are implicated, and both the NBA and WNBA are facing absolutely major scrutiny. If you want to stay updated on this developing story, hit that like button and subscribe. Drop your predictions in the comments about where this goes next. Thanks for watching.